we have to make smart decisions. When looking for money, because let's not forget why we're here. I mean, unless I'm confused, we're under the context of commerce and business in this room, which, oh, by the way, the scorecard in that is money. When looking for money, when you're looking for it, you are willing to make decisions that don't feel good in lieu of it because you want it so bad. And so if you're able to somehow position yourself not to need it right this second, I promise you, you have a far better chance of getting it, and more importantly, a far better chance of getting it and feeling good about how you got it. And so, for me, the theme is patience. No matter what you're doing here, please understand that 36 months from now is not that long. It's not, I met this nice kid back there, he's 17, he's like, can you give me some advice? I'm like, if you do everything wrong for the next 5 years, you're still gonna be young as and you can pick it up and keep going, right? Like, if you literally do everything wrong, and that to me is the point of it all, right? Which is that, I don't know, I spend a lot of time traveling and consulting and building my own businesses, and I'm in rooms like this quite a bit, and I understand, and I'm massively concerned because of the lack of patience, which then gets into decision making that I think is suspect at best. That's me being polite, right? And I think people are writing their legacies, and I highly implore you that you don't want to lose the leverage of your name as a human being tarnished, because in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years from now, in a world of Google Glass, it's not just what people have on your reputation in the first result on Google. People are gonna roll up on you in real life and have every piece of information at their fingertip or maybe their eye tip. And if those results don't feel good, and if people are questioning your moral status and those kind of things, you are going to be in trouble. To be great now, you have to be better than you used to be, because in the old days, there were people that decided who were gonna be the people we cared about. They put them on television. They allowed them to write for the newspaper. They were the kingmakers. The kingmakers have lost that power, and now the internet is the kingmaker, and what we all have the ability to do is put out stuff. Except, that sounds all great, and that sounds so exciting, but the flip side is, so does everybody else. And so we have to differentiate, and we have to provide value. And to me, what I've watched, and I've watched this for a long time, the number one way for you to break out and actually win, and no matter what you do, is to give first and use that leverage. And so if you look, I watched the hashtag of this event starting last night and even on my flight this morning. And then I saw a bunch of people, and I didn't know a lot of you, and I knew you were here because you were using the hashtag. So then I did my normal fun little thing that I like to do, and then I started looking at your accounts and looking at your business accounts. And I can tell you right now, there's a lot of people in this room that are in the right hook business. Every post on your Facebook accounts and every second post on your Twitter accounts is something in your best interest. You don't give a about the people that follow you. You want something, and you're providing nothing in return. There is a really interesting audacity / entitlement going on in entrepreneurship right now in America. Let me tell you something about building a business. You're not entitled to You're not. Just because you started a business and you have something to sell, you are not entitled to anything. The consumer's gonna decide if they want it or not. And by the way, even if you've been successful for a little while, you still have to be great again and again. And what you did for me 2 days ago becomes completely irrelevant.
How do I find balance when I have so many passions and I wanna make all of them big?
Patience.
Okay.
When you're talking, I'm like, oh, this is the blonde woman version of me, right? like I also had all those things that I wanted to do. But what I did, like what you did, which I admire so much, was first I created a stability. Mm-hmm. And then at 34, I started Vayner and the way I looked at it was to build a platform.
Okay.
And now I'm 44 and things like empathy wines can happen. Other things will happen over the next decade. And so I think the biggest issue you probably have is what almost everybody has, which is when you have ambition, it's awfully hard to also have patience.
Yeah, that's how I feel. It's like I want to do all these things and I love them.
I feel like for whatever reason, luck of the draw with DNA, circumstance, maybe seeing my parents, just work forever and event, like I don't know what, but I was gifted with extreme patience and extreme ambition. And I think that I've come to realize, especially in my early 40s now, that is not as common as I would think, because I had it. And I think that what's hurting you is your own judgment on yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
And that comes from lack of patience. Like, give it time. Mm-hmm. You're a young woman. You really are. Give it time. Give it time for these things to manifest. And also understand that one of those three things may fail.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
I try to take, like you say, like failures is better than winning sometimes because you learn so much from it.
100%. And as long as you give the right intent and did it the right way and went about it the right way, then you're in a really good spot. It's just, patience is hard because it's important.
Yeah, I definitely feel that.
People are like, Gary, patience is hard. I'm like, no shit, because it's the fucking core ingredient to success for most people.
Yeah, and I feel like everything for me was like hard growing up, and now like in my 20s, like it just kind of started going positively. So I'm like, go, 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 go all the time. Because I'm like,
because hardship in youth a lot of times is a secret to success.
Okay.
Like you're such a go-getter because you had such adversity to stability. You've created stability so quickly because it's what you yearned for because you didn't have it. Most people actually have it as a child. Some have too much of it, which actually makes them the reverse of you, which is entitled and soft.
Yeah, definitely. And I have like all these experiences and these stories, and I find myself being able to like motivate other people, and I want to focus on doing that, and I want to focus on making my businesses matter.
Me too. And I've been doing it, every day since 2006.
Yes, I just need to be patient. I feel myself feeling like rushed all the time.
Why?
That's the question, I guess.
Why? To whom? Whose affirmation are you looking for?
Right.
Who are you looking to say that you did it?
Yeah, definitely. I guess myself, like I genuinely am so happy with what I'm doing. I just have to be more patient with it.
Yeah, and take a breath and be like fucking grateful.
Yeah. 100%.
Like here we are, right? Like look how quickly you've been able to, sometimes people with tough childhoods don't really get to that place to their 40s or 50s, which is still remarkable off of that starting point. You've been able to do it so quickly. You were gifted with talent and you were trained and circumstanced into hard work. And here we are.
Yeah, definitely. And I know like my two businesses with my wine client and my event company, like I know it can work. Like I have it in my head and it's
just put your head down for a decade and make them work.
Yeah.
And then when you wake up in 6 years and you want more personal life stuff, do that too. And then in 9 years, when you want to, after that, in 15 years, when you want to get into something altogether new, do that. I actually think all of business, actually all of life is completely predicated on providing value, right? That, if you don't provide value, like I don't give a if you're the best marketer of all time. If your product sucks, you're gonna lose. Like you can do everything great and have every tactic right and know how to do social perfectly and have the greatest landing page conversion funnel you've ever seen and SEO your face off and all that stuff. But if when it gets to that point, you are unable to build retention or word of mouth of scale of the network effect of the quality of what you're selling, you cannot build a real business. You will ultimately tap out or /fail. And so my whole life has been predicated on the fact that I think about how do I bring the most value possible for whatever I do. When my life took me into a place where my career was predicated on selling wine, I wanted to sell it for the lowest price possible, have the best possible customer service, recommend the best new wines that I possibly could, because that was how I could provide value. When I write books or speak I always think about how can I just give everything away? I don't want to sell anything. I want to give as much possible as knowledge as I can, because it becomes leverage to anything I may want to have long term. See, I'm very, very predicated on running a marathon in a world that I think is running a sprint. I think when we think about 2014, and when I think about the entrepreneurs in this room and marketers and the brands that I work with, we live in a world where people lack patience. We just don't have patience. And I promise you that if you're able to, whether it's financially or emotionally, put yourself in a position to have patience, you have a far better chance of succeeding. Your decision-making path becomes far clearer, and you build much more leverage to actually build wealth or work-life balance or legacy or whatever makes you tick.